The engines of the Cora Railway are one of the most hard-working engines in England. They are the power behind the main line, branches, and industries all around them. This is the Cora Railway. Jonah was sitting in the sheds one autumn morning. The air was cool and crisp, and only the sound of the wind could be heard. All the other engines had already left for their duties of the day, but Jonah wasn't feeling particularly bright, and he didn't want to leave the shed. His driver and fireman arrived later with Marcus, who puffed into the berth next to him.
Come on, old fella. It's time we get ready for our first train.
Huh? Alright. Yes, sir.
You look really sad. Is everything okay?
I wish it was, Marcus. I just feel down today.
Whatever for, if I may ask.
It's about my old friends from the Great Eastern. We used to work together and sleep in the same shed. We spent most of our time together talking about the day's events. That was until we got relocated. I just hope they're doing alright.
Moving away from what you love isn't the easiest thing, so I know where you're coming from. It's best not to dwell on it for too long and just keep your head up high.
Is there anything we could do to help?
It's fine, really. The thought will probably just fly over my smoke box anyways.
The crew didn't want to argue with their engine, so they got Jonah ready, but Marcus was still concerned.
Are you sure you'll be alright, Jonah?
Yes, Marcus, I'll be fine. I'm always fine, aren't I?
With that, Jonah made his way out of the shed. Something about what he said didn't settle right with Marcus, and he thought about it all the while on his way to the harbour. Meanwhile, Jonah was still lost. The thought of what happened to his friends plagued his mind when bump! He absent-mindedly biffed his train as a loud clang came from the buffers.
Good heavens, whatever is all of the noise?
It was the railway controller. He had been at the station seeing how the trains were running, which had caught Jonah off guard.
Oh, sir, I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to cause a disturbance.
At least there's no damage to the coaches. Next time, I would mind how you go about your shunting.
He paused and looked at his engine.
Is there something on your mind? You look pensive.
Well, sir, Yes, sir. Something is on my mind.
What is it about?
Is it true, sir, what the passengers say?
What do they say, Jonah?
About how the railway has outdated engines?
Why would you think that? Of course not.
Think about it. Atlas and Isaac are old. Isn't there not much money to keep them maintained? Why not just sell them?
Watch your tone, Jonah. We've had better times, but they're still very useful.
But what about my old friends from the Great Eastern?
We simply don't have the money. I'm sorry. There's not much I can do.
Jonah's heart sank. When the guard blew his whistle, he pulled solemnly and silently out of the station. Meanwhile, Marcus had stopped at Fensworth on his journey, where Riley was waiting for her guard.
Oh, where is that bloody guard?
What's wrong, Riley?
My guard is late. Again. But why the glum face?
It's Jonah. He really misses his friends.
You should talk to the manager when you get the chance.
I'm not sure if I will. What if he's too busy in his office, though?
You never know if you don't try, Marcus. Maybe he's busy right now, but it doesn't hurt to ask later.
Well, yes, I know that, but
Then what are you waiting for? Don't wait for your chance to pass. Try to do something while you can.
Finally, we can leave.
Well, where is the guard?
Right here.
I'm sorry for being late. I woke up and my bike tires were flat, so I had to run here.
Oh, well, you may as well get on board. We're behind enough on schedule as it is.
That's enough, fireman. On your way, guard.
And so, he moved to his van, blew the whistle, and Riley set off.
wait, aren't we supposed to be going ahead? Riley, wait! Oh dear. Might as well wait. Mustn't be late. Oh, I mustn't be late.
As Marcus pulled into the yard, Jonah was waiting with his passenger train, and he wasn't happy.
Thanks a lot, Marcus. Now I'll be late because of you.
I'm sorry, Jonah, but it wasn't my fault.
I don't care, and I don't have time to listen to your excuses. It's engines like you who tarnish our reputation.
And he left the station in a huff.
I hope I can find the controller soon.
Well, here he is.
Marcus jumped.
Sir, I
I got a call from the foreman that you were running late. Pray tell, how did that happen?
well, sir, I was waiting back at Fensworth when, I realized I needed to speak to you, about,
Go on.
nothing, sir. I just remembered I had another train to pull. Gotta get going.
Down the line, Jonah was trying to make up for lost time, but his driver was concerned.
Steady on, boy. You'll knock yourself to pieces if you go any faster.
But Jonah wasn't listening.
I'll show them how reliable I can be. I'll show them all.
So he began to pick up speed. Elsewhere, however, there was more trouble. A lorry's engine had inconveniently given up on the level crossing ahead. The driver tried to start it up again, but it was no use. The signalman at the crossing was just going to tell the driver to start it up again when he looked down the line in horror as Jonah was in sight.
Oh, good glory, look at that!
What? Brakes!
Thankfully, nobody had been hurt. The driver and fireman had jumped out of the cab and the coaches stayed on the rails. But poor Jonah had derailed, and had bits of the level crossing stuck all around him. His front was badly bent, and he was hissing steam meekly. Eventually, a bus was called to take the passengers away, and the breakdown train was already at the site, with the controller on board.
We must now try to run the passenger trains on time with you out of commission. I sincerely hope you've realized the awkward situation you have put the railway in.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
I should think so too. Let this serve as a reminder not to get your thoughts the better of what you're doing.
With that, he turned on his heel to speak to the workmen. It had been a few days since Jonah had seen any of the other engines, or even the controller. He was worried that he wasn't going to be restored for his behavior. But I'd think that would show him, wouldn't it? Suddenly, 2 whistles were heard outside the shed, which perked Jonah's spirits up.
Is that? No, that can't be. They can't be here!
But just then, 2 engines puffed backwards side by side from his line. He instantly recognized them as a Class Y14 and a Class D15, both painted in dark blue with the letters GER on their tenders. Jonah could barely contain his excitement.
Oh my goodness, Stratford! Where's Nell? It's been too long! How are you here?
Well, our managers told us that we'd be sent here for a trial, seeing as your lovely line is in a tight spot at the moment.
Besides, when we heard about your accident, we couldn't have not dropped by to check on you, and if it weren't for one of your friends.
Then we might not have arrived at all.
You mean to say one of the engines suggested this? But who?
I did.
Jonah watched, astounded, as none other than Marcus backed into the last available track.
The controller happened to have known another railway which preserved these 2 exact engines. Lucky shot if you asked me.
Marcus? You did this for me despite how poorly I treated you?
Of course, mate. That's what friends are for, after all.
I don't know what to say. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you.
The 4 friends stayed up all afternoon and almost into the night, talking and catching up with each other before they had to go to the sheds. Jonah had learned a lot that day, as well as Marcus. We're all afraid to speak up about something sometimes, but should we wait any longer, it might be too late to do so. And if we take our anger out on our friends, then there might just be nobody left for you.